Hey, everybody. Welcome to our roundtable meeting. Today, our topic is key learnings to accelerate your marketing strategies. And we want to welcome today a few guest speakers. And let's see. We have Scott Cochran is here, of course, who is our Vice President of International Ministry. Scott, welcome to the team here.
Hi, everyone.
And I'm here to help moderate as well. And our guest speakers today are Jarrett Ruffino, who is Executive Director of Marketing and Communications here. And then we have Aaron Ward, Director of Digital Marketing year-round. And then Tim Elia, Director of Digital Marketing and Web and Email. Thanks, you guys, for joining us today.
Thanks for having us. Good morning.
Thanks for having us.
Yep. Okay. So as we move forward, Scott, can you please welcome everybody and maybe give us a little bit of an overall of where we want to go today?
Sure. We're in of course, a very interesting season right now when it comes to marketing. On the international side, we're just getting ramped up now. We've had a couple of events already. There are some countries in the world that actually have September events for a variety of reasons. Please don't get any ideas. We do not want to see a lot of events in September, but in some parts of the world, that's simply necessary, and so they do that. But really, of course, the window is coming up for the events to launch in sort of middle to late October. And for many of your countries, whether you're watching this live with us right now or whether you're going to be checking out the recorded version of this, that's what you're getting ramped up for right now. And so from a marketing point of view, we're in the home stretch. Now's the time where we have to get, awareness up to a peak level. We've got to get acquisition happening because this is when we need those registrations to come in. Now, there's another reason this is an interesting time right now, and that is our partners on the domestic side, those who lead the U.S. Summit, they're finished as far as the 2017 event is concerned. We had that fantastic event here back in August, and then the marketing team, they've been huddling up ever since then and debriefing, figuring out what did they learn. Well, those of us who work primarily on the international side of things, we've had a chance to kind of peek over the fence to kind of see what they've been talking about. What have they been learning? And Kendra and myself and our team here, we realized that a lot of the things that the U.S. team learned from their marketing efforts last year, we can actually start applying those right away. The U.S. team, they're going to start applying some of their learnings in next year's event, but we can come in right on the ground floor and say, hey, what did you guys learn? What would you might change? And how can that help us on the international side? So this is going to be a highly relevant hour together. And I trust you've got either your keypads or your tablets or your pads and papers ready, because I think there's going to be a ton of practical learnings today.
Yeah. Thank you, Scott. And absolutely. I look forward to hearing from a lot of you that are listening to this audio later on. Please always reach out to us and let us know how this serves you. And we're looking forward to a great meeting today. So why don't we go ahead and start? And so our first speaker is Jarrett. So Jarrett, why don't you go ahead and start us up?
Well, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. Thank you for joining us. I know this is maybe a challenging time on a Friday and Friday afternoon for a lot of you, but we're grateful that you're taking the time to invest in learning just what we're learning here in the U.S. So we fully recognize that what we've been experiencing here in the U.S. may apply to some, and it may not apply to all of you. So we're just trying to put on our global hats and share the ideas as best we can that we think will have some application to all of you. So just to start out, there are three kind of overall branding and communication wins or ideas that we found to be very successful this year in the U.S. marketing campaign. And the first one that you'll see on your slide is this theme of everyone has influence. Now, the reason that we introduced this theme or tagline to the Summit marketing this year is that we knew from experience what we were hearing in the field, what we were hearing from other people promoting the Summit, is that one of the greatest barriers that they had talking to the Summit about people is people or potential prospects would say, well, I'm not a leader. The Summit's not for me. I may not be leading a big team at work. I may not be the senior leader in my business or church. So before we were even able to talk to them about the summit, they were already opting out in their mind. Well, this is not for me. So what we wanted to communicate this year is that at its core, leadership is influence, and everyone has influence. So whether you're influencing your friends at school, whether you're influencing the people you work with, if you're a stay-at-home parent, you're influencing the way your kids are developing and growing. So leadership is influence, and everyone has influence. And as we have been in our debrief meetings with our host sites here in the US and the people that we have working in the field with all of our host sites, they've said this has been a powerful win for us. It's something that has been used across all of our different marketing platforms or channels. So it's been a really big win for our audience to hear that everyone has influence and to be able to use that. And that's starting to catch on. And that's going to be a big part of our campaign in the coming years. Secondly, you've heard us talk about this past year, what is our value proposition? And in essence, what this means is if you were to describe the summit at its core, what is unique about the summit? And for us, you've seen in our messaging, whether it's on the website or in the videos or printed materials, the summit delivers that fresh, actionable, inspiring content from a world-class faculty. So again, remember what those words are. Fresh. It's new content. It's not something that's been out there. It's not something that a speaker has been talking about for years and years and years and everybody knows about it. It's actionable. We really want to have topics that people could return to their place of influence the following week and start applying that. So what could they act on coming out of the summit? And then inspiring. We know that people coming to the summit are often burnt out and tired and are kind of running on fumes, so to speak. So we want them to leave the summit inspired to do what God has uniquely called them to do. And then it is from a world-class faculty. Whether you've heard about all of these faculty members before or not, there's trust in the summit brand that we're going to deliver a world-class faculty. So whether it has been Bill Hybels, whether it has been Scott or our other field team representatives around the world, these are the types of things that we're talking about. You see that language across all of our marketing platforms. So we're just reinforcing that across every different channel. And then finally, it feels strange to say marketing videos best ever, and that's not something that I'm saying. That's something that our audience has been telling us. And when I think of the marketing videos, I want to reference 3 key marketing videos that you guys have all had access to. The first is what we are calling kind of the speaker unveil video. That is the video where it's high energy and their portraits are being painted, and you're just getting a few key bullet points as to why we invited them. That's been very well received this year. Another win for that video is that there was no audio to it. So when it was playing in your social media feed, we didn't have to add subtitles to that because a lot of people are watching their videos in their social feed with the volume off. So that was a win, and I think hopefully worked for you internationally as well. The second video was the Marks of Influence video. That was more of the story-driven video that showed leaders or people of influence in different sectors. So you saw a construction worker, you saw a parent with their kid at home, I think you saw an artist or creative. So again, really reinforcing that everyone has influence theme. And then of course, we had a vision video from Bill Hybels. What we did differently with Bill this year in the marketing videos is we took him out of the speaker introduction video and had him focus on what he does best, which is casting vision for the summit, telling people why they should come, telling people what's unique about the summit, and just using the power of his voice and his influence to inspire people around leadership development.
Jared, if I could just pick up on the one theme that you wove through a couple of times there, and that was the everybody has influence line. You know, after a while, it just sort of becomes part of the background, it becomes part of the dialogue and so on. But I think you put it very well. This actually represented quite a seismic shift in how the GLS is positioned out there. And you know, it's something we've been thinking about and talking about for a long time. And just as you pointed out, a lot of people were just opting out of the summit because we so emphasized leadership. Now, it's still a leadership event, But this repositioning, everyone has influence. I think we were all caught off guard and overwhelmed by the positive impact that had. So, and I would just encourage each of you in all of your countries, as you work with all of your country leaders and your marketing directors, don't underestimate the power of that positioning. The fact that everyone has influence. It looks just like another positioning statement. It looks just like another slogan. But this one has been a game changer here, and I think it can be for all of us around the world as well.
Yeah, and I just want to touch point on something, and I will go a little bit deeper on it later on in this meeting. But really look at each one of those, especially the speaker unveil, and use those particularly to hit some of your segments. So we'll touch on that in a little bit later.
And then the final section that I want to address with you all is this question. And for those of you that were here in Chicago, you heard me address this in the partner meeting before the summit started. But it's this key question: is advertising a worthwhile investment? This year in the United States, we invested a significant amount of resources in some national advertising campaigns. You can just get a quick overview of what those were. We radio, some key radio programs here in the U.S. We invested in some commercials on the Hillsong network, which many of your countries probably were able to benefit because it is a global platform. And then we did some paid advertising through emails with Christianity Today. And what I was showing you at the partner meeting is just kind of the underwhelming results that we had here in the U.S., but I didn't have a full picture of the impact yet. So in the left-hand chart there, you'll see the registrations, traceable registrations that came from those campaigns. So Salem was radio, Hillsong was TV, and Christianity Today was email, obviously. For Salem, we had a goal of having 1,200 unique registrations come from that radio campaign that we did over a period of 4 months. And obviously you can see with 112 registrations, we kind of underperformed a little bit. So that by no stretch of the imagination would we consider that to be a success based on the amount of money and energy that we invested into that campaign. Similarly with Hillsong, we invested a fair amount of resources into I think it was 60 to 64 TV commercials and 0 traceable registrations. And just to clarify what I mean by a traceable registration, those campaigns had a priority code that we were able to see if people used that when they registered. However, after the event, we do a post-summit survey, just like many of you do. So we ask them to rate the speaker sessions. We ask them to tell us a little bit about themselves. And one of the questions that we ask them is, how did you hear about the Global Leadership Summit? And if you look at the attribution column, so attributing awareness of the summit to those different channels, if we took the percent of people that said they heard about the summit through those radio campaigns and extrapolate that out to our summit audience, over 11,000 people indicated that they at least heard about the summit on one of those radio programs. Now that's a completely different story than what you're seeing with the 112 registrations. And similarly to Hillsong, 0 registrations, but over 1,600 people indicated that they heard about the summit on the Hillsong TV station. So I think it's just a combination of those two different metrics. I know a lot of you are doing advertising on billboards or other kind of mass advertising channels, and I just don't want you to become discouraged if you're not seeing the direct ROI from each of those. I think you have to be careful about where you spend your money and invest your time and energy, but also be aware that just because somebody may not register with a unique priority code or register as a result of seeing only a TV commercial or listening to a radio ad doesn't mean it was successful.
Mm-hmm.
Jared, what would you say would be some of the key learnings out of this? As you and the team look at these numbers, what do you take away, and would you do anything differently next year?
Well, I think a key learning for me is just reinforcing kind of what I knew in my gut. If you listen, regardless of where you are in your part of the world, if you're listening to radio or TV, you might hear an ad, but the chances are you're not in a position to make a decision at that point. So you're not going to necessarily go and register right at that moment. But it's just that brand recall. Like, oh, I heard about that event. So maybe you go and Google the Global Leadership Summit when you're in a spot to learn more about that. Well, when you do that, you're not going to use a priority code because a priority code has kind of gone in your ear and out the other. So moving forward for me, I'm probably not going to invest as much in a national radio campaign, for example, but what I'm looking at doing is going to a more regionally or targeted based approach. Can we take those same resources and invest those in a region of the country or a city that doesn't have as high of an awareness about the summit?
That's so good.
Yeah.
You know, one of the key principles that I've taken away from this is I've been watching these strategies unfold. And again, friends, we talk about this all the time. You're probably getting sick of this. And that's simply the importance of raising awareness. I think all of us kind of fool ourselves into thinking that we're better known than we really are. And whether it's in the United States or in Guatemala or in Europe, wherever you are around the world, we need to get better known. Now, a lot of the people that we talk to, a lot of our partners out there will say, well, really, it's all about personal invitations. And that's true. But think from your own experience, it's a lot easier to invite someone to an event that they've heard of before. If they haven't heard of it before, that's a tougher invite. So these strategies have to work together. You just have to, as Jared's saying, figure out in your context, what is the most appropriate awareness strategy? Is it this kind of advertising? Is it something else? But keep the focus on raising the awareness of the GLS.
Yes. And I just see that Luis made a note in regards to the success of radio. Luis, can you just speak into this for a moment?
Yes, of course.
So tell us a little bit about your program and how what you're doing with this radio initiative.
Okay, thank you. We have developed a new radio program that we are going to talk every Tuesday in the morning. And this is a new strategy to promote the GLS in a different way, giving content all the time. Something that I have noticed along the years is that people don't want to get tickets for the GLS sometimes because we just want them to sell the tickets, but we need to give content, and when we are giving content, they are familiar to the GLS, so it is easier for us to sell the tickets when the GLS is coming. So we have this new program for every Tuesday, and we are connecting this with the Spanish app, so all Latin America can listen to the program live. And this is something that we have been developing the last 2 months maybe, and we are using the books of the different speakers from past summits as well, and we develop how do you call what we're doing is taking the topics from the book. Let's say, for example, Simplify from Bill Hybels. So we discuss for 15 minutes about the topic, and then we use some clips from the app, so the people can listen to those clips from Bill Hybels to talk about that topic. And then what we do is we have the I forgot the name, but we have like a survey or something like that, so people can interact with us through social media or even the web page or the app. So this is something we are testing yet. We don't have results yet, but this is something that we have been developing for the last 2 months, and we believe that this is going to be something great to promote the GLS, not only in my country, which is Guatemala, but in all Latin America, since we are going to connect this to the Spanish app.
Yeah. Luis, thank you so much for sharing that. And as you can see that Luis is taking the context of his region and knows that radio is very successful. So great, great idea. And we look forward to hearing how successful that is and the results that come from that.
Let me just add quickly that
yes.
for some of the rest of you, again, whether you're on with us live right now or if you're listening to the recorded version, if I may speak on Luis's behalf, if that's an idea that you're interested and you want to find out more, connect with Luis Pinto in
Yes.
Guatemala. He's one of our leaders who generates a lot of innovative ideas, and I know he's very able and willing to help any of you as well with some of these ideas.
Yes, absolutely. And of course, we know that we have our Facebook page. We'll continue to share ideas on that as well. So what's interesting is this brings us to our next slide. And if I can get to it. There we go. Okay, sorry. So Tim, let's go into this digital marketing and some of the major wins and key learnings that we've learned here in regards to our digital marketing programs.
Sure. Thanks, Kendra. Hey, everybody. First of all, I just want to acknowledge, you know, we're doing a lot of this stuff, and some of it may apply, and then, you know, some other things just won't apply. And I hope that, you know, as I go through some of, I'm going to go through a lot of examples, as you can see from this very overwhelming slide in front of you here. I'm going to go through a lot of examples, and I just hope that, you know, maybe here or there, you might be able to pull some nuggets or maybe spark some ideas. Yeah, just acknowledging how great the work is that you guys are doing out there. So grateful for you guys, and just hope that some of this is helpful. So what you're looking at here is the first half of our 2017 testing timeline. This is related to web and email marketing. And again, I don't want to overwhelm you guys with all the information on this slide, so I'm not going to go into detail. But I think the driving point behind showing you this timeline is, over the last couple of years, the Willow Creek Association has been moving toward this culture and best practice of testing everything. In every instance of a campaign, what can we test with the goal of learning more about how the customer is thinking, learning more about why the customer says yes, why the customer says no. And so we do a lot of tests every year. I think we did between 30 and 40 tests just in web and email this year. And that doesn't even include social media and print, which Aaron and Jarrett might get into later. But one of the things behind testing that I'd like to share is the sequencing of how you time out your tests, I think is very important, is something that we learned this year. For instance, in the beginning of the year, what are some really, really important things that would be extremely helpful for us to learn about the customer that we can use that knowledge later, in many instances later, to then multiply the impact of all of our future campaigns. So as you're thinking through what do you want to learn about a customer, think about, with that learning, how can you use that later to multiply your impact? So for instance, if you look at the bottom of this timeline, at the second one over, you'll see, yeah, that one, Kendra, thank you. So you'll see two different emails, each with a different version of the faculty lineup. We reordered it. And what we actually did was, in the beginning of the season, we sent out this email to all of our US subscribers, and we actually sent it out in 8 different segments, all with different orders of the faculty, to test and see which sequence of the faculty really is most resonating with our audience. And above and beyond that, which sequence of the faculty is resonating with our male segment, which sequence of the faculty is resonating most with our female segments. And by learning these things early on in the season, now you kind of have a foundation to go off of. Now you know, okay, if I use this order of our faculty in our advertising, then it's going to resonate most with the audience and it's going to lead more likely to a click. Another instance of this, Kendra, if you could hit to the next slide, please.
Okay.
Thank you. Oh, I don't think it went. There we go. Thank you.
This one here?
Yep.
Okay.
No, you can go back one.
I don't know if I can go back.
Sorry, there's just a little bit of a lag.
I don't know how to go back on this. Not sure how to go back.
Which slide, Tim, do you need?
For the 10% and $20?
Yep. So go
I
forward.
think it's slide 10, slide 9.
Okay.
Perfect. All right, we're back.
Okay, sorry about that.
All right. No, totally fine. Okay, so I was just talking about, you know, the sequence in which we test. What are some things we can learn in the beginning that we can use later? So one of those for us was, you know, for our super early bird, which many of you may be in a super early bird or early bird season right now. For our super early bird, it brought our price down from $209 to $189. And you can phrase that two different ways. You can phrase it as, hey, you can get 10% off, and that brings it from $209 down to $189. Or the exact same thing you can phrase as get $20 off. Same exact price, same exact incentive, but you'd be amazed at how differently your audience might respond to one or the other. So, you know, I'm not going to assert that one or the other is going to work better in your region, but I can tell you that, you know, getting $20 off versus getting 10% off in the US, we saw a huge increase in conversion rate for just changing our wording a little bit. Again, it's the exact same price. It's kind of crazy, but, you know, when people read your marketing collateral, sometimes it could be a little irrational or a little bit, you know, from the gut. And we need to test these things to learn early on. And, you know, now that we learned that early on in the season, we're able to use the verbiage, get $20 off throughout our entire super early bird season. And then in early bird season, we use the verbiage, get $10 off. By learning that early in the season, you know, we saw a big increase in conversions, like a 20% increase in conversions on that first test. But now think about that aggregated over the course of 20 or 30 emails throughout the season. You're seeing a 20% increase overall throughout your entire season because you're using that learning going forward. So that's one of the learnings that we had early on that I would encourage you. Think about those things. What can you learn now that you can use 20 times over in your future campaigns? If you look in the bottom right corner of this slide, you also see a countdown timer. That was another test that we had, is how can we create more moments of urgency for the customer? You know, when they visit the GLS webpage, when they visit your GLS webpage, how can we be reminding them in ways that really pop out that, hey, in a matter of hours or in a matter of days, that the price is going to go up? Because, you know, the way that web pages work these days, all it takes is someone to hit that back button and they're gone, you know, and that's it. That was your chance. And so how can we create those moments of urgency? And that was one of those ways that we were able to do that. I want to show you guys another test that we did that I think, oh, by the way, this countdown timer, you guys can use this actually in your emails, believe it or not, and it's live, a live countdown timer in your email. It's an application called Motion Mail, and it's $10 US per month to use, and we use this a lot, and I would encourage you guys, again, it's called Motion Mail. You can Google it. I would encourage you to use it to create those moments of urgency, not just on your web pages, but in your emails. Yeah. So I'd love to show you guys another test that we did. And this is another, this on the next slide. this is another application you can use online. It's fairly affordable. I think it's about $10 a month, maybe $15 a month. What it is it creates personalized images in your emails. So whether you're using MailChimp for your marketing, or you're using Constant Contact or another application out there, and there are dozens of ESPs available, but this is affordable and it's compatible with many of them. What this allows you to do is, if you have a first name on file for someone in your email database, you can hit one button, and when you blast an email out to, let's say, 100 people or 100,000 people, this application will generate instantly personalized images based on a template that you create to put that customer's first name in the image. So this can be used a lot of different ways. You'll probably see airlines doing this, where they're like, hey Tim, your flight is taking off, and in 2 days we can't wait to see you, or things like that. This is what we tried. Now, if you think about this, if you think about the level of impact that this actually has, 32% increase in conversion rate. All we did was put the customer's first name on a Global Leadership Summit access badge, like lanyard. It's pretty simple. It doesn't add a lot of value, but I think what it does is it captures the customer's attention. And that's the point of an email, is how do we capture someone's attention? Because they're getting, I don't know about you guys, but I get like 100 emails a day. And it's so easy to just skim past them. And when something like this, something unique like this sticks out, that captures my attention. And I think this did a great job of capturing our audience's attention. And it led to a 32% increase in clicks and conversions. And so I would just encourage you guys, if you're not collecting first names with email addresses, I would first off just encourage you to collect those first names. There's a level of relationship with your customers that's really hard to reach without knowing their first name. And then take it a step further and start finding creative ways to use it, because more than ever these days, people are being treated like cattle by marketers, and they're being treated like one of many. And what are some ways that we can provide one-to-one experiences? Like, wow, like they knew my name, they put it on a badge. Like, this is not just an e-blast to 1 million people. Like this, they know who I am, So I just wanted to share that real quick for whatever it's worth. Again, that application is called Nifty Images. It's very affordable. I would encourage you to give it a try. Just Google it. It's called Nifty Images.
Okay.
All right, let's go to the next slide, please.
Okay. If I can. Sorry about that. It's just not being cooperative. So
right.
This way. Okay.
Thanks. So this is the second half of our testing timeline. I'm not going to go into too much detail, but the driving force behind the second half is, as we reach the end of June and July and August, we don't have those discount periods anymore. We don't get to say, hey, save $20, save $10. Now we need to find new ways to create that urgency. And so we'll get more into this later, but I just want to share, as you move out of those moments of urgency, those pricing urgency moments, what are some creative things we can do to create moments of urgency? So for instance, if you look up in the top right corner, we didn't have a pricing deadline between July and August. But what we did instead was we offered a Bill Hybels DVD to anyone who registered within a 1-week period in the middle of July. It doesn't have to be a physical incentive either. You could just simply offer, like a batch of quote images, or you could offer a free video download of Bill Hybels' talk from last year. Get creative with it, but find ways, now that those pricing deadlines are over, what are some ways that we can create urgency to move people to action? Because otherwise, they're just going to wait till the last minute to register or not register at all.
Yeah. Very good. Thank you, Tim. Thank you, Tim. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I think I just have one more slide, and then I'll shut up. All right. All right. So one last thing is now, Luis, I loved what you were saying earlier about giving content to people to create awareness, not just like getting the word out there about what the Global Leadership Summit is and that we exist, but actually providing something of value. And so that's what we do with something that we call email acquisition and nurturing. Now, what this looks like is we'll take pieces of our content. In this instance, it's a free chapter in the form of an ebook from one of Bill Hybels' books. And what we did was we packaged that up in a nice little PDF, and we started floating that around the internet on some of our partners' websites, kind of as advertisements. And when users would click on it, we'd give them the option, hey, we'd love for you to have this free book. All we ask for is your email address. And so, that's a pretty fair exchange for a lot of people is, yeah, I'll give you my email address if you give me a free book or a free video or a free guide. And so we have about 10 to 12 resources that we use every year that we float around the internet, and we ask people, hey, for your email address, you could download this for free. As you can see through some of those partnerships and display ads, we were able to acquire almost 30,000 email addresses through a few different partners. And what we'll do is we'll then take that, and as you can see on the right side, we put each email address through a journey over the course of 30 to 50 days, where we then continue adding value to their lives with the free content that we have to offer. It's one of those ways that we're building a relationship with them. How can we give them the things that they're looking for before we ask them for something, which ultimately the ask for us is, would you please attend the summit? So, again, a lot of those email service providers out there for free or for a low cost, like MailChimp or Constant Contact, they have these journey builders where you can just, put an email address in, and you can pre-map out a series of emails. And over the course of 30 to 50 days, they'll receive automatic messages where it's like, hey, we have another free ebook for you. Take a look. Or, hey, our new podcast came out this week. We'd love for you to check it out. And then what we're finding is by creating these new relationships through acquired emails and nurturing them from 30 to 50 days, at the end of that period, we can then ask, hey, we can tell you've been loving our content. We'd love to have you at our event that's coming up. It's one of those things where it's like you wouldn't want to ask someone to attend your event, like Scott was saying earlier. You wouldn't want someone to attend your event without first having them heard of it. And our content gives people a peek into what our event is like just by getting to experience our content a little bit.
Yeah.
All right, I'm done.
Okay, thank you, Tim. Excellent information. And I wrote a lot of notes on the side, as you can see, so use those for your notes as well. So let's move forward, and we're going to talk.
I just want to quickly say, and I was tracking all the information you were providing there as well, Kendra.
Yeah.
Many of you, as we said before, I'm sure were writing down tons of notes. Again, Tim, fantastic content.
Yes.
If some of you wanted to do some more follow-up, you had another question, fire that through to Kendra even after this meeting. Send her an email or something like that. Kendra can kind of collate all the other questions that come in, again, whether live or later on, and then we can get that to the right source for you.
Yes, absolutely. I took notes of each one of the different programs that Tim had mentioned as well. So we'll follow up on that with you. So let's do a little bit of a touch point on our advocate program. And Jared, can you please first explain what an advocate is in our realm? And then I would like to have Aaron do a touch point on this.
Sure. Well, I guess I'll just quickly set up Erin, as she's the one that managed and ran this program. But essentially what we've been doing the last few years through our advocate program is taking our Raving Summit fans. So those people that have attended the summit either 1 year or multiple years, they love it, they're in this together with us. How can we tap into their passion and enthusiasm and have them become part of our, if you will, sales force that is out there promoting the summit through their networks, primarily through social and relationships. So I'll let Aaron talk about how this all worked and the wins that we're seeing from it.
Yeah, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. It's a privilege for me to be with you today. And so, yeah, like Jarrett was saying, our GLS advocates are raving fans. One way that we acquired the list of advocates was from our 2016 post-event survey. We asked our attendees, who of you would be interested in promoting the summit to your audiences? And so from 2016 post-event, we had 4,286 people raise their hands on the survey and say, yes, I'd like to be an advocate. So we launched the program. We revitalized it, launched it again May 1st, 2017, before our August event, which was a little late in the game. But so we'll do it earlier for our 2018 event. And really, it was very, very simple. And what we did was we built a series of email communication tied to our sales deadlines. And what we offered to our advocates was information that they could then share with their networks to invite their friends, their coworkers, their colleagues, anyone within their networks to come to the summit. And in return, we gave our advocates rewards for the number of registrants that they were able to get to sign up for the event. So again, we did that tied to the different deadlines that we had for our US event this August. And then we provided to them through a Dropbox link. We loaded different email and social media marketing collateral that they could use. And then through that, we gave them rewards like a branded t-shirt, resources, a subscription to GLS Next Premium for 1 year, and some different things, the post-event DVD that we offered from this year. And then even additionally, one thing that they requested, so it was great to be able to implement this, was even incentives for the people that they invited. So some of the offerings that we had, like the 25 Vital Questions DVD, we were able to offer that to the people that they were able to register as well. So what that allowed for us was direct personal communication. All of the emails came directly from me. They replied directly to me, and building this really great network of relationships of people who are interested in promoting the summit to their audiences. What this generated for us for 2017 was 532 additional registrations that we were not anticipating. We set a goal, our off the charts goal was 500, and so this was a very easy and successful win for this, and we'll be picking it back up again for the 2018 event.
Fabulous, fabulous. So I just want to say with this idea, everyone listening, is that do you have some type of a program like this? And, you know, if you want to know more details on it, again, as Scott has mentioned, follow through with us on that. And we can give you more of the details of this as far as, you know, what do we do to create this? But right now, you're in the game. So even we did it last minute in May. So think about that. You know, what is it that you can do to create these raving fans or tap into the raving fans? Thank you, Aaron. Excellent. So in conference. So Aaron, can you lead us on this?
I'm going to actually pass this over to Jared, I think, was helped concept this idea.
All right.
Yep, that's fine. So I guess the value behind in-conference registration is you want to get people to sign up for the next year's event while their passion and energy for the current year's event is still very high. We have done a number of things over the last number of years to help get people to register at the event for next year's event. Last year in 2016, we tried. We did a test. Like Tim mentioned earlier, we are incessant tinkerers and testing a lot around here. So what we've always done in the past was offer the audio card, so the audio downloads of the current year summit. If you register for next year by Tuesday right after the summit, we'll give you this audio card. Well, in 2016, we thought, let's test it. Let's see if the incentive really matters. Or let's see if we can actually get them to buy the audio card, and then we'll just get more revenue that way. Well, last year, not only did people not register, they also didn't buy the audio card. So we lost just about on every single possible way we can lose. So this year in 2017, we decided, you know what, we don't want to do that again. We learned that an incentive in addition to a pricing discount really matters. So what we did this year is we offered, I know most of you, I believe nobody internationally has access to GLS Next Premium through the app. But for us in the US, it's a $99 a year subscription, and that gives you access to the full-length summit talks from the last 2 years. So basically, it's a digital version of the Team Edition through the GLS Next app. So again, $99 value. So we promoted that this year. If they registered by Tuesday, right after the summit, we would give them a 1-year subscription to GLS Next Premium in addition to the pricing discount. And we were able to drive over 20,000 registrations. That's 18,000 more than we were able to have last year. So within 3 days of the summit ending, we already had 20,000 registrations for next year. So do the math. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure out that this incentive worked very well for us. Now, not only did we get people to register, but because GLS Next Premium requires an email address to log in to access it, we now have personal contact information on these 20,000 plus people that are using GLS Next Premium. So we can engage with them throughout the year on a totally different level. So the challenge for you guys is, as you're coming up to your events, what is that incentive that you can get people to register for next year and offering them something of value that's not going to cost a lot to deliver? There's very little cost for us to deliver GLS Next Premium. It's really all margin for us when we're asking people to part with their $99. So the challenge to you is, what can you guys do in your context to get people to register for next year with an incentive?
I think this is one of the areas internationally where we have the most room to grow. Now, there are some countries that are doing a great job of in-country, in-conference incentives. And we talked about this at the partner meeting. Do you remember the presentation from Taiwan and all the creative things they're doing in conference? But you know, for a lot of us, we come to the end of the GLS, and usually we'll say, we'll see you next year, or hope you register. But man, this is the low-hanging fruit. Getting the people who are right there excited about the summit to register again next year. It just takes, as Jared has been describing, some innovation, some ingenuity, and some intentionality. So let me encourage all of you, take advantage of the momentum that's built in. Yes. Come up with your own version of an in-conference incentive. As Jared says, you wouldn't be able to use the GLS Next Premium, but what do you have? What is the incentive you can offer? And then really take advantage of that as your summit comes to an end.
Yeah, I mean, for example, hopefully Karen Shea and the others won't crucify me for this, but let's say, because you guys don't have access to premium, but let's say the Team Edition, I wouldn't give that away for one registration, but let's say you register 10 people and you'll get access to the Team Edition. Keep the stakes a little bit higher. You're going to make up the revenue by getting them registered for the next year, and you're giving them value. I'm not saying to go do that. I'm just trying to stimulate some ideas for you guys to think.
That's excellent. That's excellent. So we are we're running a little long, but we're going to continue forward. So let's do this. The next slide just talks about the key customer learnings. Tim, can you just go through these very quickly, and then we'll move on, because I'd like to go into the social media reports and learnings.
Sure. Let's do a rapid fire here.
Yeah.
Okay. So insight number one was that a large portion of visitors to our Willow Creek Association website homepage turned out to be very interested in the GLS, but they needed a clearer path to get there. So the question I have for you guys is there a certain page on your website that you're seeing a lot of traffic, and could you make a clearer path to register from that page. It doesn't have to be on your website. It could also be in social media or on one of your partners' websites. Does there need to be a clear path to register? Because online, people need it to be really easy and clear. Insight number 2 is, as I said earlier, adding that urgency to the website with those countdown timers. That's a no-brainer. I think it's been a huge win for us, and it's a low cost. I definitely encourage that you give that a try. Increase those moments of urgency. Emphasizing discount pricing. This is a unique one. We did a test this last year where we asked people in the checkout, as they were checking out and paying for their ticket, we asked them, do you want to donate the discount that you're getting to the Willow Creek Association? And we did not see an increase in donations, but interestingly enough, we saw a big increase in registrations. People were more likely to convert when we asked them to donate their discount. The reason behind this was because we were reminding people of the money that they were saving. As they were checking out, they were reminded, hey, you're saving $20 per ticket. Would you like to donate that? Now, regardless of the fact that they didn't donate it, it's just a great reminder, like, hey, people need to be reminded that they're saving money because it just helps increase that velocity. Creating moments of urgency, like Jarrett just touched on, find creative ways to offer incentives to create moments of urgency. And then focusing on the micro yes instead of the macro yes. You wouldn't ask someone to marry you on your first date. You would ask them to go out to coffee with you a second time, So again, kind of going back to our email acquisition, or Luis with your radio content splashes, I think let's not ask people to attend the summit right away. Let's ask them to engage with our content. And that's the first step.
Okay, thank you so much. So we have about 7 minutes left, and I really would love for Aaron to touch point on the social media. And what we can do is, if we skim through this very quickly, we are going to send you this PowerPoint that you can look at, and we will continue a conversation with the social media maybe in our next month so that we can go into a little bit of a deeper dive. So Aaron, can you please speak into the social media?
Sure thing. So you can go ahead and go to the next slide. Social media for us for everyone is such a great platform. Our wins for our team in the US this year were an excellent team and process. One thing that we did for our event is we create what we call our social media room. So we invite people to come and share about the content online. And share direct quotes in one room together, and to build community, and to get more people engaged, and to get the hashtag from the event so that we are trending. And then one additional thing that we did this year that we have not done previously is we introduced Instagram stories to our Instagram followers. So go to the next slide. We are leading up to the GLS this year. You just have here a picture of the increase in the number of followers and fans on our social media platforms for this year. And what we were able to do with that is build that as we were promoting the summit leading up to the 2017 event. Pre-summit marketing wins for us, what the videos that Jarrett mentioned at the beginning of the call. So one very successful video that we used on social media this year was the speaker reveal, highlighting the list of speakers that were with us from this year's event. The Bill video that he mentioned is kind of setting the vision for the summit. And then additionally, I took a different approach to the speaker reveal and created a photo slideshow to highlight a lot of the speakers that were part of the event. That does not play if you're trying to click on play for that.
Okay. This I wanted to just share with the picture of the social media room. You could see the energy, and Michael Jr.'s there. Do you have a social media room? I love this picture. This really shows the fun that you guys had.
Yeah, it was great. We just got to, again, reiterate, and you can click on these little videos, Kendra, each one, reiterate the the energy that we're able to create to get people to post continuously so that we're trending.
Yeah, I'm not able to play the videos on this system.
Okay.
So
on that program. Okay, sure. So those are the Instagram videos that we introduced, or the Instagram stories that we introduced this year.
what I will do is I can, for our team, let's see if we can get those videos on an MP4, and then we'll share those, and then that way you can look at that and see, sense the excitement.
Yeah, great. Top Facebook post from this year at the event, different quote images. So what we do is we have this whole process within our social media room that we track which of our tweets, quotes are being creating most engagement online. And then we create a quote image out of that. We pass that along to our design team so that by the end of that speaker's talk, we're sharing on all platforms, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, the top quotes so that people are remembering and engaging with us again. So those were some of the quotes. And then one other thing that was very successful for us that we actually didn't anticipate was during Bill's talk, he runs through this list of 10 rules of respect. And we got a lot of feedback from our audience saying, can you tell us again what those rules were? So we created a blog post out of that and shared that online, and that was shared many times and reached a lot of people in very successful post.
That's great. So Erin, can you just bring us to like a challenge for all of us that have people in our events, and they're creating the social media stir. You guys were reading and watching what was trending. Is that true? And how could our teams do that? How could they create a system like we did here?
So one thing that we really tried hard on our pre-event marketing was to make sure that the hashtag was out so that we could know how to follow the content that was being posted. And but we were creating the trending ourselves within our audience. And so one thing that I really would encourage you to do is to have a team designated to sharing quotes and images on social media during your events. And tagging the speakers in that too, retweeting a lot of posts to make sure that the content is being shared. The team aspect for that, having people who are focused on the content and sharing the hashtag is really what helped us to be able to trend this year.
Yeah, that's excellent. Excellent. Thank you for that. Yep.
And then here are some of just the things where we were trending. In the United States, we trended for over 9 hours with hashtag GLS17. Reached number 5 worldwide, trending as well. And then we promoted our app this year, and that also trended in the App Store.
Yeah, excellent, excellent. So our key learnings.
Key learnings for promoting pre-summit and at the event. One of the things that I think, like if you're an avid Facebook poster, that you'll notice is that organic posts, because of the algorithms that Facebook uses, are reaching fewer and fewer of the audience, and it's requiring us to pay to create ads or boost posts. So I'd encourage you to hopefully have money in your budgets, and it takes little money to increase your visibility. So I would encourage you to boost posts or create ads so that you have more visibility. Increasing your audience engagement will also give you more visibility. So when you create posts leading up to the summit or at the event, make sure that you're responding and engaging with your audience. Find ways to use live video. Live video, like Instagram stories and Facebook Live, is becoming more widely used. And so how can you do that either to promote the summit or do it without jeopardizing the speaker content? And then I just want to point out one thing that we notice is that our audience loves the content that comes from our faculty from the GLS. And so you can be assured that that the audience is really interested in what you have to share from that perspective.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, Erin, Tim, Jarrett. Thank you.
You know, we have packed more into this hour than perhaps any other hour we've done together. So as you say, Kendra, thanks to each of you, and Luis for your participation as well, and many of you also sending in messages. We didn't actually get to everything we wanted to cover today. So some of this information, I think, Kendra, we can even put it right in the Facebook group as well. I know there was some other information you wanted to pass along about some things that were coming up just for the international side. Make sure you're in the Facebook group for the International Marketing marketing. If you have any questions about that, connect with Kendra. We need to wrap up. This will be posted again online by what, Tuesday? Would you say?
Yes, we'll
This will
say
be
by
available
next
on
week, Tuesday, we'll have the audio up, and you guys can push this towards all the rest of your marketing teams. Thank you, thank you. We have a marvelous team, and thank you for taking the time to join us.
See you next month, everybody.
See you.